Welcome to the second, third Empirical Training podcast. Unsure how we're going to snap these out, but essentially we're diving into the founders of Empirical Training, who we are, our journey into cybersecurity, what we've done, what we currently do, and why we're looking to share our knowledge on cybersecurity and ultimately help people be safer online and also get into the industry, because we've all had very interesting and beneficial experiences and journeys moving through cybersecurity. So we're going to kind of talk about how we got here, the doors that opened for us along the way, the doors that we maybe had to force down and to get where we want to be, and hopefully that'll help by sharing some experiences. You'll see maybe a pathway for yourself that could be similar, but also ultimately probably take away that you just got to be prepared to take opportunities and embrace them with both hands. So I think, Rob, you're the focus of today. We're joined obviously with Vaughan and AJ. I'm Josh. Good to be talking to you all today. And Rob, let's give us a brief rundown of when did you first get into cybersecurity? I know this is going to be a good one.
All right. I don't know how far back I want to go. I feel like I should just go all the way to the beginning.
You've got to go all the way back because you've got one of the best stories about getting in.
Yeah, man. Yeah. There's no point in me saying my last name, but if you're clever enough, then you can find it. You can go on our page. You can find my specific. Yeah. No, I'm basically giving them the instructions. I grew up in Mid Wales as a young bright boy, and like everybody, not like most people, a lot of people in the UK that are into sport and that are fairly athletic, they wanna do that as their profession, right? That's their dream. And my dream was to become a professional footballer, or soccer as the US guys call it. I know we've got a big audience in the US. So yeah, I wanted to be a professional soccer player, football player. And that was the dream, man. Like, there was no plan B at the time. It was just play footy. I was getting taken out of school early to play football. And yeah, that was just all I wanted to do. Wake up every day. I'd be carrying a football with me everywhere I went, be doing keepie uppies. I can remember when I was younger, I can't remember what age I was, and I wish I could remember this, but I did 1,000 kick-ups without dropping the ball. And like that sound, when you're young, that sounds a little bit unbelievable. So I literally made my mate, because there was no phones back then. It was just shitty fucking Nokia phones. So I said, right, you're going to have to come around to my house and watch me do these kick-ups.
Phones would have enough memory to store video that long, even if they did have any.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's how keen I was.
Robbie's a lot older than he looks, everyone. Who's watching on YouTube?
What are you getting now? About 45, is it?
They're all lying.
He looks great.
Yeah, I'm 34 going on 18. So yeah, I play footy in school, play for my county. I was actually really good back then, and that's kind of hard to believe because I'm going to get slated in the comments. I was trying to say that he was good at football. Like, where are you now, man?
Show us the proof.
Yeah, I know.
Enough clips. I remember watching those in the office with you when we first worked
together. Side.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You can check out my Instagram. You can see a few cheeky 5-a-side goals. But yeah, after school, high school, I was 16 and I moved out of my house with my parents, and I moved up to North Wales to play football. And I was in the UK, they have these schemes. They're called YTS, so it's youth training schemes, and they're mainly for academies. Like in the UK, like Liverpool have like a YTS scheme. It's like the academy before they get taken on as pros. And the Welsh team that I was playing for, they're probably the 4th best Welsh team. So it's not Cardiff, not Swansea, not Wrexham. Oh shit, not Newport. The 5th best Welsh team. They're called TNS, but they play in the Welsh Prem, so it's kind of shitty. But yeah, shout out the Tins. And yeah, I went to college there, and I was there for 3 years. And I was like, at the beginning, we were getting looked after by this lady. She was like cooking us food and making sure we were all right. And we basically just played football every day alongside doing like a really like like rudimentary like BTech course, which was, there was no exams. It was just like you do your coursework. But before that, actually, when I first got there, I did 6 months of IT. So that was my introductory to any type of IT. Obviously, we did it in school and stuff, but yeah, I did a little bit. It was like it wasn't anything too crazy. It was like learning like macros in Excel and stuff like that. That was as far as we went. But I was just so busy with football, it just didn't really work around the schedule. I couldn't like turn up to the exams. I was playing football. I had to miss lessons, and the whole scholarship was like centered around this BTech in sport, this course that everyone else was doing. And if you did the A levels, it didn't really work. So I ended up dropping the A levels and just doing the BTech because all the boys were doing it. It was super easy. But that got me into uni. Like, I played for 3 years, did really well. Again, like so I'm 17 at this point, like coming on 18. I was 19 when I finished. And the dream was still to be a professional. I didn't have a plan B still. And like my mum would ask me, she'd be like, right, what do you want to do afterwards? And I'm like, be a pro footballer. She's like, all right, or if that doesn't work out.
How old are you?
At this point, I'm like 19 years old, like just finishing college, because I did 3 years at college. So I did like the first year was kind of a bit of a mess around because I did the A levels and ended up dropping them. And then there was a point where I wasn't even doing any college work. I was just playing football.
What A levels did you take?
IT, maths, and like PE or something. Yeah, it was PE. Yeah, so IT, PE, and maths. And maths was like ridiculous. Like,
yeah.
I did a couple of exams, and like, yeah, like I just felt like I felt lucky that I ended up dropping like all of them because the maths I was struggling. And it was weird because I did really well in secondary school. But anyway, yeah, did that. I was playing football every day, just loving my life. And I had like a 2-part uni experience because I did 3 years in college living with a lady to begin with. There's loads of boys there as well. Then we all of us boys moved into our own house that was right next to the college. And then we were like kind of going out a little bit, and it was mainly focused on football. We weren't like drinking or anything like that. But yeah, it was so cool, man. Like, I still speak to some of the boys that I played with, and some of the boys that played in that scholarship, like they went on to be professional footballers. So yeah, I kind of just I dipped out too early. I could have persisted on, but yeah, at the end of the scholarship, the 3-year scholarship, I didn't get a pro contract. I did get player of the year in the reserves, and I thought that was going to nudge me over the line to get a pro. But there's 50 boys there at one time, so in that like 3-year period, like obviously people come and go, but there's a running total of like close to 50 lads there that are playing across like multiple college teams. There's a reserve team, and then at the end of it, it's like once a year they take on one person. So
one
person out of 50, which is insane. So yeah, this other lad got a pro, and he ended up getting paid really like crappy wages, and then leaving after a year, and like just didn't really do anything. I'm shitting on him a little bit. He's still playing football now, but like not high standard. So I just followed the crowd.
A competitive scenario with that 50-1 of the overline sort of number.
Yeah, and there was tiered approaches to teams as well. So like when we played college, there was like an A team, B team, a C team, and then like similarly on the weekend there was like top teams, and then and then they went down the levels. So yeah, there was always a little bit of drama knocking about on who was getting selected for which particular team, and people always thought they should be playing in like the better teams. And yeah, man, it was
I think that scenario says a lot about where your competitiveness comes from.
Yeah, 100%. I hate losing. I'm a proper little like sore loser.
So I mean,
even doing it,
what does that mean for you? You're a sore loser. You say really competitive. You didn't win, right? You didn't win the contract. You didn't make it to the place that you wanted to get to. So how did you react or adapt to that?
Yeah, that was difficult because it sort of crashed all my dreams at that point. I was banking on getting that pro, but then I did realize across the scholarship, like across that 3-year period, that there was so many players that were better than me. And I was like, I just didn't really, I lost confidence in my own ability to play football at that point, because I was a big fish in a small pond, coming from a really, really small town in mid Wales, like population of like 2,000, and everyone was like, oh yeah, Robbie's like really good at football. Like that's what everybody would say. Like everyone thought that I was going to make it. And there was a handful of boys that are from like my town that people would talk about them, saying like, yeah, they're really good at football. They're going off doing these things, doing these scholarships, playing for these academies. And yeah, then not making it, that was like that was pretty tough, because then I had to like sort of tail between my legs and go back to my hometown, and then they're like, all right, so how are you getting on with football? And I'm like, yeah, didn't make it. But I just followed the crowd at that point. There was a lot of boys from my college and from my hometown that were going to uni, and I just fast tracked myself to go to uni because I did this BTEC. It was so easy. Got full marks, got enough was it UCAS points to get
points,
in? Yeah, man. And then everyone was like, we're all going to Cardiff. We're gonna go to, it was called UWIC at the time. Now it's been rebranded to Cardiff Met. There was loads of sports degrees at that moment in time. And then I just applied and just thought, what's the next best thing? I need to keep going on the education train. And I just followed my mates as well, to be honest. They were all going to Cardiff. So I thought, I applied to Liverpool. No one was going to Liverpool that I knew. Loads of boys that I knew were already in Cardiff. But one thing that was really cool was my manager from college, from the scholarship, called up the manager of UWIC, who I think he's still manager now, Swanee. He manages the Cardiff Met team, and they're doing really well. Like, they're in the Welsh Prem now, and they're like this like huge team. So the both managers spoke on the phone. He said, we've got 2 lads coming from TNS. Will you sort them out and get them involved? So as a fresher, I got catapulted straight into the first team, which is unheard of. Like, normally you have to be like second year, third year to get like so high up in the teams at uni. So that was cool. And then, yeah, just played football there. Uni, obviously, like it was pretty crazy. That's when you start like drinking and going out loads. And then like football was just less important at that point. And then, yeah, met loads of friends, and it was a really cool experience. It was actually, uni was such a crazy experience, because college was really tame. It was just football. And then uni was, right, we're going out, you have to fend for yourself, sort of thing. And I didn't really take uni seriously. I ended up getting a 2-2, but luckily I got a degree, because if I hadn't have got a degree, then I might not have been successful with that tick box exercise with HR, because ultimately I applied for the company that we all previously worked for. That's how we all know each other, just for context. I'm not sure if we've even made that public. Like like our first jobs were all at the same company, which is an amazing company, and still holds really dear in my heart. And yeah, like that was important that I did actually pass my degree. So I scraped a 2-2. Never really turned up to uni, which I do regret. I know you shouldn't really have regrets, but at the time, going out and like partying and making friends was more important. But like that was important in my life as well. Like the party side.
I think we often tell people in the Discord, look, if they're looking at kind of high school, secondary school age to what to do next, we say you don't have to go to uni to get a job in cybersecurity. But we also not saying don't go to uni. There's so much you can get out of university, even if the course isn't all that relevant, right? It's a kind of a life experience of fending for yourself, making some mistakes, getting to know people, and start to kind of live in maybe it's a safer version of being an adult than jumping straight into work, but there are many different ways into cybersecurity. As your degree there was right. That's a sports related one. You say it was enough to get you that open tick box, so then you could get on to assessing your technical level of knowledge.
Definitely.
You have a ability to learn something.
Yeah, right? I just want to say back then that this was like when I first applied for my cybersecurity job. That was end of 2015. I think at that point it was kind of important that you had a uni degree on your CV. Right now, I don't think it's important. Like, you don't have to have a university degree or any type of transferable university degree to break into cybersecurity, and I really do truly believe that. So yeah, finished uni. I didn't want to grow up at this point. I got like some crazy jobs. I was selling limos. I was doing the PPI, ringing people up. Like, and they were telling me to F off every couple of seconds, which was interesting. I've done a bunch of random jobs, worked back home for a bit back in mid Wales doing like electrical engineering. I've worked in bars. I've done like pick and pack. I started my own business as well, so that kind of leads me into the journey now. So like 2014, I started a really cool business in Cardiff. And it was with one of my best friends. And a long story short, we fell out because of money and because we were young and we didn't really know what we were doing in business.
How old were you at the time?
So I would have been 24, 25 when we first started that business. And it was a whirlwind. It blew up and we were all over the news in Wales and everything was going really well. And then, we just fell out because of money. And I don't want to say too much on it, but
it got you to the next position, right? Because I think I met you not long after that. And you did mention how it got you
definitely there. So I ended up having to sell my shares in that business. I didn't have to. I just chose to because of certain things that happened. And me and this person that I was in business with, we didn't speak for a while, and now we're actually really cool. And I'm glad that we're on speaking terms.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, that was
it's all experience, isn't it?
100%. And like I learned a lot and I experienced a lot, and I'm very thankful for that opportunity. But 2015 was probably one of the worst years of my life because I'd had this like rise in status, having this big company and doing so well and thinking like this is going to be me, to having to let go of it all and move back to my hometown again and get a really shit job. Like I was lugging Land Rover parts on pallets that were like 900 kg heavy in the Amazon pick and pack like warehouses. I was putting away car parts all day, and I was in a really low spot. I like to coin mental health my mental fitness, because I've got my mental fitness and I've got my physical fitness, and my mental fitness definitely took a dip in that time. I was like really feeling sorry for myself, but I've always got a master plan. Like I don't tend to wallow too much. It doesn't last long for me. So I had to think, right, what's my next move? Because I can't be working in this warehouse all my life. I need to utilize my abilities. And I asked myself the question, do you want to get into sport? Because I've done college, I've done uni. That's where my education path took me at that time.
Obvious.
Yeah. And my mum was saying, do online coaching wasn't a thing back then, but do fitness or do PTing, or you could be a PE teacher. And I said, I don't want to do that. I want to do something else. And I so one of my family members at the time was in the industry, and he became a really pivotal mentor for me at the time. I think I was speaking to him at a meal one evening, and he said, "What are you doing with yourself?" I explained my situation. I wasn't trying to make him feel sorry for me, but I think he genuinely did feel sorry for me. And he messaged me a few days later and said, "Have you thought about breaking into the IT industry?" And it literally wasn't even my idea. It was just this person messaged me saying, "Do you fancy getting into the industry?" And I was honest. I said, "I don't know anything about it. Where do I start? What do I do?" He explained a little bit about some of the roles that were available and where I could potentially go. And I said, "Yeah, I like that idea. Where do I start?" And I was keen. I was motivated. I was a bit angry, if I'm honest. I was a bit bitter and resentful of my previous situation. So I had a lot of like pent up anger, but I fueled that, and I used it for good. And
do you remember what? Yeah, do you remember that? I think you're going into it, but the pathway and the roles that he recommended to you, because I think that'd be good for a lot of people listening.
Yeah, definitely. So he was working for a cybersecurity firm, and he said that you could go into blue teaming if you want, or you could go into red team. And he was trying to keep it like super simple in the beginning, just because I was such a novice. So he broke it down: blue team or red team, and we looked at the different responsibilities involved. And at the time, I was like, yeah, I like the sound of defending networks for customers. So I'm going to go down the blue team role and blue team path. So we created a bit of a learning path, and then I was just flat out at that point, 100 miles an hour, working my day job, getting back in the evenings, making sure I was going to the gym. And then in the evenings, I was just ticking off the list that he created for me. And we just broke it down into data sources and then concepts. So it was first off like, learn Windows Active Directory, then like look at like network security, look at databases, look at Linux.
So is this like almost like a syllabus that he'd helped devise for you, rather than like a certification or anything? It was just, here's a topic, go and find out about it.
Yeah. Like back then, that was exactly what I was doing. It was like, here's something that you should learn. And then it was up to me to go and find that information and write notes on it and then present that back. And then he'd check in with me every month or every couple of months just to see how I was getting on. And I think, I'm not sure if he thought that I would give up or find it too hard. But again, it just goes back to my competitiveness and my stubbornness. I was like, even if this is difficult, and it was scary because it was a completely new industry and it was very overwhelming in the beginning, but that was a grueling tech one.
I was going to say, and that's why I wanted to highlight your competitiveness at the start, because I know your journey. You've mentioned it to me before. Was there any specific areas that you went to find this information? Was it books? Was it online? Was it networking with other people? How did you find this sort of syllabus information that you wanted to learn?
Yeah, I went on Amazon and I bought some books, and then I just went to YouTube because that was all I knew at the time. And there was loads of really cool resources on YouTube. I think Eli, the computer guy, was like one of the first YouTube channels that I subscribed to. And then there was so many videos. I was just combing through like every single video, and he had loads of playlists as well that really helped me out and got me on to some topics that I hadn't even written down, which was cool. And that led me down a massive rabbit hole, loads of different rabbit holes, because I'd start on a certain topic and then like I'd see on a playlist, oh, he's talking about this and this, and now this is how it all ties together. And that was like really useful. And then I was building on my list. I wasn't just I wasn't just using the list that my mentor gave me and wasn't building on it. I was building on it myself and reporting back and being like, oh, I found this and I found this. And he's like, yeah, amazing. Keep going, keep at it. And I didn't know when the day would come because he didn't tell me. He just said, keep going. I'll keep checking in. When I think you're ready, I'll sort something out for you. And then the day came then, I think it was like 10 months later. So it was 10 months of 9 to 5 working my day job, and then in the evenings and on weekends learning the basics of cybersecurity.
That goes back to your 1,000 keepie uppies, your perseverance. You're just
Yeah.
putting in the reps consistently, and I think that's
Yeah.
hats off to eventually why you took the opportunity and seized it. And
Yeah, man. Yeah, thank you. It's not glamorous. It's very boring, very monotonous. But if you keep at it, then you will. It will stick. So I got my interview that I'd been patiently waiting for, and I was very nervous. It was exactly like this. It was me and 3 other people on the call, and yeah, I had no idea what to expect. I just came on it with an open mind, very transparent, and at that point, my biggest asset was my character, my personality, and all of the transferable skills that I could possibly squeeze out. And I was rinsing those transferable skills out. Trust me. One of them was one of the modules that I did in uni was performance analysis. So it is, if you see, they must do it in the US, but in the UK, in football matches, where all the pundits are and the commentators, you've got lads on laptops or girls on laptops, and they're essentially like coding the game. They've got hotkeys on their laptops. So say J will be, I don't know, like a successful pass for somebody, and then a shot, and they're like typing it all in and analyzing it. And I'm sure now they probably have got software that does that, and they've got some AI software that does it. It doesn't have to be a manual process, but you got to bear in mind that I went to uni 14 years ago, so I'm showing my age a bit. But yeah, that I used that module to showcase my ability to be curious, to be methodical, to be to have like
detail
structure,
orientated, I imagine.
Yeah, detail orientated, and like, yeah, curiosity and taking something and really breaking it down to its core and trying to assess why something happened.
Yeah, we talked about it before, and I know it will probably come up almost every podcast, but it's not necessarily what you know, it's how you can learn something quickly, how you can adapt to new situations, more in this industry than any other one, right? I will talk about me in more detail. My background's law, right? And that's like hundreds of years of case law. It's stuff that you go back to 1800s to go and check it. In cybersecurity, it's not really the case. It's evolving so quickly. There's so many gray areas that you need to learn brand new technologies, brand new exploits in order to keep up. So half of it is, yeah, you've got to show you've got good foundations, good basics. I think but more than probably a half, or at least or more, is that character reference. The fact that Robbie can show how determined he is. I'm sure you probably went into a bit of your journey right to that point, and kind of the setbacks you'd had, but then to kind of take 10 months of your personal time when you're not in uni to actually study something completely different that you didn't know about. That is a huge green flag for any hiring manager.
Yeah, man. I said I've spent 10 months nearly every day after work setting aside 2-3 hours an evening to learn the basics of cybersecurity, and I also said that I eat well, I go to the gym 5 times a week. All these things can showcase that you're disciplined and that you can stick to something that you've agreed upon. So that can showcase your character as well. And I ended the interview with saying, I'm a newbie, I'm a complete novice. There's a lot of things that I don't know, but if there's something that I don't know, I promise you I will find out, and I will showcase that I know that particular topic, whatever it is. If it takes me until 2 a.m. that evening, I promise you I'll learn it. And I won them over. Like they had no business in giving me that job. And I was just,
did anyone else get Liam Neeson vibes from Robbie just then?
I don't know who you are.
I will find it out.
I will find the information.
I will find that Windows Event ID.
Rob, I think your story is really, really inspiring, and for a lot of people out there that are trying to do the same sort of thing, it's a really great example, and just shows, like AJ said, a testament to your determination and your resilience, and that whole approach that we spoke about on AJ's story of having the mindset to, you know, if I don't know something, I'm gonna go out there and figure out. And that's exactly what hiring managers are looking for. They want someone that's curious. They want someone that's gonna do the work, and not, okay, I don't know something, well, that's me done. This is where my line stops. They want someone that's gonna break through that ceiling and exceed expectations, and that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, definitely. And
what roles did you go? Because that the first one, I think AJ talked about previously, that log review piece, right? That I think we all started on. Can you walk us through like the different roles you had from there? Like, give us a bit of an understanding of the responsibilities and how you kind of kicked on and continue to grow. Now you're in the industry.
yeah, I completely forgot that that I actually had one interview previous to the one that I just spoke about.
Oh, yeah.
And it was for the same company, but it was an IT support role.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
and it was a bit of a random one. He sent it over to me and was like, "This isn't the one that you want to go for, but let's just see how you fare." And I ended up not getting the role with that one, but it didn't really bother me too much because I was still focused on getting this blue team role. So yeah, did the interview. It went really well. Obviously got offered the position, and then I moved back to Cardiff then, which was what I wanted to do, because I don't know, it feels strange for me moving back to my hometown. Like, I'm here now, but I'm moving back to Cardiff in a couple of weeks. But yeah, it always feels a little bit weird. Not like I'm going backwards in life, but I'm not sure. It's just a weird feeling for me. So I moved back to Cardiff, moved into a flat, and then moved into a blue team role, a log analysis role, and sat next to
That's
AJ.
where we first met. Yeah, that's where we
man.
first met. I was going to say, going back to kind of the honesty that you've always had, that you sat next to me, and I remember you sitting next to me going, "To be honest, I don't really know what I'm doing here." And I said, "Don't worry, I don't know either." I don't know either. We got on with it. And I remember your OneNote. That was always such a fantastic beast. They'd have this OneNote with everything, like he says, topic, do everything that you need to know about it. Next topic, do. And like, that's the testament to it, that Robbie became one of the best employees there. And that's truth, that's honesty. That was like what people were saying. And I think, I remember the first day when you said, "Oh, I don't know anything." I said, "Yeah, neither do I," because I didn't expect to be there either.
Wait for someone to say that. I knew AJ the whole time.
Because everybody was like, "Oh, guys, like, I come from a master's degree in cybersecurity." I was like, "I did business and IT, I didn't do a master's." And Robbie was like, "Oh, I did sports science. I don't know what I'm doing." I was like, "Oh yeah, that's my guy.
Yeah,
that's my guy. We'll do it together. We will."
Yeah. And that made me feel unreal as well. That made me feel so welcomed, and I was petrified on my first day, because I had all these like prestigious security analysts that were working at the company, and sitting next to AJ and having that warm welcome was exactly what I needed. And then I just thought, I just need to get on with it. And I did like the first like 8 weeks, 10 weeks of training, and then I used to come in to work early and watch YouTube videos in the morning before everybody got there. And the management used to notice me in early, and they'd be like, "Why are you in early?" And I was saying, "Well, I'm learning. I need to catch up." And I got a lot of respect for that. A lot of people, I got a really warm welcome from a lot of people, but there were certain people and like groups of individuals in that company that I didn't have respect. They didn't give me the respect, and fair play. Like, I get it. I understand why, but I always felt like I needed to prove myself, because I didn't have a uni degree. I didn't have any certifications. I'm probably the edge case. Like, no certifications, but I still got a role. And I know that people are going to be listening thinking, "You jammy little bugger." But it's right place, right time. It's transferable skills. It's working hard. It's dedicating yourself to something day after day after day, and then reaping those rewards. But I knew that I needed to work towards something to get that respect. So I started in 2016, and then the summer of 2017, I got offered to sit a SANS certification, and it was the GMON Sec 511 continuous monitoring. And again, most people in the company will revise for about 2 months, and then they'll take the exam and pass it. It took me 6.5 months to revise, and I chose that. They said to me, "When do you want to sit the exam?" I said, "Put it 6 months out from when I start," and that was purposeful, because I just needed to get those reps in, and that's how I learn is by repetition, is by reading something the next day, maybe reading it again.
Keep you up, Rob.
Keep you up, Rob. Yeah.
Drop the footballs in the chat. If you did that,
drop the footballs.
Drop the football emojis in any of my videos.
Comment down below if you like keepie uppies too.
I needed to do those cyber keepie uppies for 6 months.
Yeah. It's so true that everyone learns differently and reinforces knowledge differently, and so it's about having, recognizing what works for you, then also, Robbie, really having the confidence in yourself to say, hey, look, I can't do it the same way other people are going to do it. I'm going to take this route, which is, it takes a bit of balls to do that, really, and take that long-term approach rather than just kind of be pressured into, I don't want to seem like I'm different than all the other analysts who are taking 2 months. I want to fit in, almost.
Yeah, definitely. And I had a drive to keep learning and to make sure that I was holding myself accountable, because there was so many super intelligent people at that company at the time. There still are now. It's a really cool company, and there's a lot of really smart people. But at that time, there were some big hitters there, and I really enjoyed it. We were like a big dysfunctional family, and we were in our own little room, and we used to joke about and make the day really fun. And it was amazing, man. Like I couldn't have picked a better company and like a group of people to really kickstart my career off. And did the 6 months, did the keepie uppies, sat the exam, passed it just about. I can't remember what the passing mark was, but I remember that I got like 3% over the passing mark. But
You passed. Yeah, I was saying you passed.
Is a pass.
That's the main thing.
So,
and then leaning into those certifications as well, like the SANS certifications, for anybody that doesn't know, that they become like the top end, the higher tier of the industry.
Huge.
And if you get one of those under your belt, you instantly become one of the most marketable analysts there is. Oh, I think mine is frozen. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, it'll come back. Yeah, it's one of the biggest certifications that you can get. So you can imagine me walking into the office the next day after passing that. My chest was out like this. I was strolling about before Conor McGregor even invented that walk. I was literally strolling in through the room. And
we talked about our big Greek friend Yanis in the last one, and I think he had a special name for it. And as soon as you walked in, he asked, "Hey, have you got your GMON balls?"
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
GMON balls.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Once you've earned your GMON balls, then you're on the big things.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. Then.
Yeah, so I had my massive GMON balls, and I just felt like I had the respect that I needed at that point. People saw that I could pass that certification, and they thought, oh, hang on a minute, he's only been here for 2 years, he hasn't had any experience, and he's managed to pass a SANS cert. They normally say that you need like 5 years experience in the industry to be able to even pass it. So that was my respect. I felt like I'd settled in at that point. And then I stayed there for I stayed there until 2019 then. And then I got a message on LinkedIn. I don't know how much, we haven't spoken about it loads, but we probably need to do more content on it. But LinkedIn is like one of the biggest tools for finding future jobs. It's like the best networking tool ever.
True.
Start a LinkedIn, document your journey, connect with as many people as you can, and message
there's also
people.
a setting, isn't there, that you can set upload your CV, and you can set that you're actively looking for work, but it doesn't show anybody like your employer or anything like that, but it shows recruiters, and they'll actively contact you then, and it'll increase the amount of messages that you get as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not set to like I'm looking for work, but I get a job offer at least once a week, or
exactly,
an interview offer. And obviously, they're not giving me the job just yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's such a powerful tool. Create a LinkedIn, put as much information on there as you can, and even if you're a hustling cybersecurity analyst, and what I mean by that is someone that's trying to get as many certs as possible and hasn't managed to land their first job, document that you did an interview and you failed because of XYZ. People like to see the journey. They can sympathize and empathize with the journey. And I got a message 2019 from another company, another cybersecurity company, saying we've got a senior position here for you. It's hybrid. This was before COVID, and there was the opportunity to be able to work from home for some like a certain amount of days in the week, and that was unheard of because I'd just gone from working 5 days a week in the office, and then I got an opportunity to do a hybrid role. So I took it and moved on. It's just the natural part of life and in the industry. Some people stay for quite some time at one place, and then other people want to change roles, and that can come down to wages as well, because that was a big thing for me as well. My wages jumped up massively at this other company because I don't know, every company's different with their budgets and stuff like that. But yeah, got that job and went from a level 1 security analyst at that point at my previous company to a level 2, a senior role. And
they do say if you ain't learning and you ain't earning, then you need to look elsewhere. And obviously the best scenario is a combination of the two, but you need to have at least one of those things. That you either feel that you're pushing on and progressing yourself individually, or you have it's a comfortable life. And I think those priorities will change as well as you get older. Maybe you're looking for more security with your mortgage and kids, but make sure you're learning. And horizontal moves are a really big way to kind of make that extra step up, right, Rob? Because you started as that entry level person. They're going to hire you on the lowest they can because you haven't got the experience to demand anymore. And it can be a challenge because companies tend to have incremental rises of like 5 or 10% or whatever. It's difficult for you to jump back up to maybe on par with what the average is, even because of where you started.
Yeah.
I just want to ask you a question, Rob, on your transition into the second role. You mentioned that someone messaged you and said there was a role ready for you. Was that through a recruiter? Did you know someone at the company already? How did you kind of go through and get approached for that transition?
That was just a cold DM on LinkedIn. Somebody messaged me saying, hey, I've seen that you've garnered 3 years experience at X company. Are you looking for a change? So like they were, like, fair play to them for being clever and noticing that somebody's been at a company for a certain amount of time, and a lot of people too tend to get a little bit fed up after being somewhere and maybe not progressing, because there was a point where somebody left and there was a position open, a management position open that I went for, and I didn't get it, and they gave it to somebody else, and there was a little bit it was a bit of a difficult time, and I thought that I probably should have got the role.
I did too. I was shocked.
Yeah, that's life. You move on, and then it was just coincidence that somebody offered me to go somewhere else. So yeah, I just took that opportunity, and yeah, you always want to progress. Life's a game. You want to be moving forward and always progressing. So I got that job, moved into it, and went from the first company where there's all proprietary tooling to like this new company where they were using all third-party software, third-party tools. So it was crazy. Like I felt like I sort of started again. There's so many concepts that you can take from proprietary software. Like a SIEM, the functionality of a SIEM is always going to remain the same. And then even if it's proprietary or if it's a third-party software, yeah, the functionality and the way it works is very similar. So I had that knowledge. I just had to learn new tools, which was fine. And it was awesome because started from the ground up. We didn't even have any customers. We had to create new services. So the experience that I got from this last job was incredible, because we went from no customers and no services to, when I just stepped down now in the summer, like 60 plus customers and like 3+ managed services. So yeah,
I think it leans into those transferable skills as well, doesn't it? Like you mentioned before, that you mentioned if somebody was in project management and they might not be technically gifted as an analyst, but they could become a manager of a SOC that are building out the SOC and just need to know which parts we need to bring in. And then they can go, like that could be their role, for example. There's a lot of roles in this industry that I think people need to know about. And like Josh, for example, the roles that you've gone through analyst and all the way to the marketing team. And for that reason, like, don't just think if you're listening to this now that you have to be extremely technical. Like you don't. That's not, like, maybe the path into cybersecurity might be a technical one and you'll be an analyst and you'll move somewhere else, or you'll just need to know the kind of the high level stuff, and then you can move into say a management role, or maybe a marketing role, or even kind of more a project management role. But there's a lot to this industry, not just technical.
Yeah, it's a really great point, AJ. And the whole like SOC analyst role that we try and preach to our Discord members or our community as well is more so kind of a leapfrog or a booster pad or something to get you into these other areas, which is exactly what you've identified.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The experience you get there is invaluable, and it gives you huge credibility as well. Whatever you're going to do, almost every meeting or speaking engagement I do, I always start by saying, I'm a security analyst. Here's my background. Here's what I did. And because you're just exposed to so many different bits within a business, that, you probably will go down one of those many channels. But having a little taster of everything means you know enough about it to ask the right questions, find out the bits you might not know, and also understand how it all links together and interplays, because you don't want to have blinkers on and tunnel vision. A lot of it about is building a SOC is connecting all the different security tools and services and concepts, because there's no one solution to security. It's all about getting the most out of every controller, making them work together. Rob, I think we come really nicely onto that big change you made there, and I think the other big change from the outside looking in was you moving into a leadership role, right? How did that differ from you actually being an analyst to now being in charge of people, being in charge of analysts?
Yeah, it kind of came natural to me. I had that business in 2014, and we were managing like 10+ people, and I've always been a bit of a natural born leader in a way, with my competitive sporting nature and just the way that I am. And just like we've all been speaking about now, I'm not super technical, and I never really have been. I've done SOC analyst roles for a number of years, but I was always like the people and process kind of person, but I could do the technical aspect of the role as well. And you can mold into whatever role that you want to go into. I knew that I didn't want to be that person that in the evenings I'm going to be learning how to script in Python, because that doesn't fulfill me. I don't want to be spending my weekends doing that. Whereas some people will be wanting to do that. They want to spend countless hours every single evening on weekends doing like Try Hack Me, doing Hack the Box, and then writing some like arbitrary Python script that, I don't know, emails them what they're going to be eating every single evening for food. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wanted to move into management because I knew that's where I could provide the most value. So I worked my senior role. I stayed patient, and I said this to the guys that I'm doing the consulting with now at the firm that I'm doing this temporary contract. There's 2 guys that are working. I said, if you work hard enough and you apply yourself, you volunteer, and you stick around long enough, you'll progress in this company. You can get a management role, or you can, if you stick around long enough, this industry means that you can basically create roles for yourself. And that's so true. There's like, we're talking about junior analyst, level 1s, level 2s. There's no like cookie cutter tiered roles that everybody uses. There's no universal tiering system. It's like some people have 4 tiers at a business, some people only have 2. We created one out of thin air at our previous company, Vaughan and I. We had a 1.5 because it just needed to be there.
Yeah. And I love that when you see like there's a title that's like distinguished analyst or something really bizarre like that, and you know this is a guy who's brilliant. We don't really know what to do with them. So they need to have a big title, and they're just going to do whatever they need.
And I think that comes back to the point where we spoke in the previous podcast with AJ about a company sometimes just needing a certain type of person to fill the role. And as Robbie's saying, that there's not all the time that tiered approach. Okay, you fit in as a level 1, you fit in as a level 2, you fit in as a junior. There is that, but a lot of times during the hiring process, they're looking at, okay, what value do you bring to the company? Is there somewhere, like Robbie's mentioned, where we've put someone into a 1.5 because they possess those elements and those skills in that area? And that really comes back to an important factor of being able to differentiate yourself from the crowd. So having those unique skills that you have within your own skill set that then you can take to these hiring managers and interviewers to convey your value. And like Robbie's mentioned with his story and his interview process, those transferable skills that I imagine, Rob, you had from your sports science degree, that's probably something that no other candidate had, and being able to transfer that in a articulate way was probably very appealing to the hiring managers.
And I think leaning into that then, when we first started in log review, Rob, remember we had to do those onboarding calls. Most of the people, extremely technical people, didn't like doing them, or just they couldn't do them. And we were like, well, I worked in an estate agent. I've had experience speaking with people. You've run a business. You've been a manager of a business. We'll give them a go. And you created the process. We got on with it, and it was an asset to that team that if they would have taken on 2 other extremely technical people, they wouldn't have had anybody to jump on those calls, be personal with the customer, and get the information from the customer that makes their service even better. So at the end of the day, it's a team, isn't it? You need people with these variety of skills. You need people who are extremely good at Python to build certain scripts. You need people to be personal. You need people to be managers, and that's why it has helped us coming from a SOC analyst role, which is why we mention it as a way into the industry, because we personally did it ourselves, and we're all from different skill levels, technical skill levels, and that's why we recommend it, because we've done it and it's been able to let us go on to these 4 different paths that have got where we are today.
And the main takeaway is that you don't have to be an expert in all those fields. You can zone in on specific strengths and then hone those strengths. So stuck around long enough at that company. A position came up to step into a management role, and I took the chance and interviewed for it and got the job, and was there for another 2 years managing the team. And then Vaughan moved from our first company that we went to, and moved into the company that I was at. And then we created a nice little strong team then, myself, Vaughan, and some other senior analysts. And then we had a big team below us. There was 16 analysts that sat underneath myself, Vaughan, and some other people. So huge team, a lot to manage.
It's also worth noting as well, Rob, that we transitioned that team from a 9 to 5 into a 24/7 SOC as well.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we started off 9 to 5 with a bit of an on-call option for high or critical incidents, just to give customers that visibility out of hours. But it wasn't really working as well as we needed it to be, because we were relying on the context of security solutions and not the context of human analysis. So we had some big gaps, but we were stuck between a rock and a hard place, because we needed the budget to be able to take that leap to move from 9 to 5. I think at one point we had like 5-6 people working, to then we had to move to this team of 12 plus senior management and management. So it was a big investment from the company, but we have to stay competitive in the market. But that was
I'll
cool.
always remember as well, Rob, the amount of interviews we had lined up for that transition. I think there was like 2 or 3 weeks where we must have interviewed like 15 people just to try and fill all these new roles that are coming with the new 24/7 structure. Because we essentially went from 2 teams of 3 or 4 to 4 teams of 4 or 3, I think it was. But we had to backfill just loads of empty positions.
I think that's a great perspective and experience that both you and Vaughan and Rob both bring to the Empirical. Like having been hiring managers, you know what people are looking for. Having evolved the SOC from a relative infancy in towards a 24/7, full scale operation from 3 to 60 customers. That's some great experience, and it really shows when you're helping out the community to kind of give them that, hey, I was one of those people who would have hired you, and here's exactly how I would have gone about it. It not only is it great insight and experience, but also to be able to have access to someone like that means that you're not just kind of hoping for the best or guessing or making your best judgment. You're literally having someone tell you this is exactly how it was for us.
Yeah,
that's great. Good point.
100%. And as I was working for this company, obviously I enjoyed my job. I enjoyed working for the people, working for the company and working with the people, but I've always had this burning desire in the just inside of me to start something else again, because I had that business in 2014 and I really enjoyed it. I've always been a bit of a risk taker, and I could have easily stayed at that company and still been there now. Two lads have just moved into some like huge roles, paying big money. And I did have a bit of I saw the update on LinkedIn the other day of this person getting the role that I would have got. And I know how much money he's making right now, and it's crazy money. And I've given all that up.
You said that earlier, right?
No, I know, but it's funny. It's the butterfly effect. It's funny, isn't it? It's like seeing like what could have been versus what I've chosen to do. But I've chose this, and I want to do this. And it's not really about the money for me. It's about, I was the underdog years ago, needing a bit of a helping hand to get where I needed to go. So that's why I had the original idea for empirical training is to just help people. Like I get way more fulfillment in life now by helping people, not just for empirical training, but like helping my friends doing stuff, helping my family, like giving to charity. I've just been out in Bali now looking after loads of stray cats, which was stressful and emotional, but like that's where I get my most. Yeah, I love cats. Yeah, like I just love helping people. So for me, I just want to carry on doing this with you boys and help as many people as we can. And like I also enjoy a little bit of freedom nowadays. So that's one of the benefits of starting your own business, not having to be working Monday to Friday 9 to 5, but everybody's different, aren't they? So that's something that I chose to do. But just moving back to one of the points you raised before, Josh, with building out a SOC from no customers to 60 customers, multiple services, that whole experience was the reason why I've got this job now doing this consultancy contract, is because the guy that I used to work with, he knows that I've successfully built out security operations centers for other companies, and this company now are in their infancy. They only have one service. They've got 2 lads there. I'm probably giving too much information away about their current setup, but
they don't know who they are. That's too hard to dox. You haven't got any big clues on that one, I think.
Yeah, I know, but like they know how small they are right now. They don't have many customers, and they've got a setup that isn't really sustainable and isn't set up for scale. So I immediately came in. I looked at what they were doing, all their processes, all their tooling, how it all fits together, the integrations. I said, like, what you've got is great, but it's not ready for scale. As soon as you times your customer base by 10 or 20, you're in dire straits. So yeah, I'm putting processes in place to ensure that when they grow at the right speed, and that making sure that it doesn't overwhelm the company and the people that are working as well. Because the most important people in cybersecurity are the SOC analysts that are providing and delivering the service. Because if they're upset and they're feeling overwhelmed and they're feeling overworked and underpaid, then they're just going to leave, and then you've got some holes in the ship then, and you have to start plugging those holes.
We've seen that happen, right, to colleagues. I think ourselves at some point, you can get really demoralized sometimes. And there are so many jobs out there as well that retaining staff is super important in this industry, because it's so difficult to hire again and then to skill them up, because even if you know everything, you're going to learn new tools, like you alluded to.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask a question, Rob. I think you already answered it, really. Why you kind of moved into empirical training now? You mentioned how you wanted to kind of share this experience and help others and show that it's not, you don't have to take the obvious steps. You can brute force your way in, to use what Andy's metaphor before. So I think I'll ask you this instead. What does success look like for you in empirical training? What will be the point where you think, yeah, we really did what we set out to do here? Big question.
Wow. Yeah, that's a huge question. Success for me will be to look back in 5 years when we're all sat at a pub having some beers and knowing that we've helped a lot of people. It's not how much money we've made. It's literally just that. It's making sure that in 5 years we're still doing this, because that's all I want to do. I want to do podcasts. I want to test myself. I want to be creative. This has been one of the best years of my life, because I've been super creative and put pressure on myself, like a healthy amount of pressure. So that's what I needed. I felt like I was a little bit stagnant in life. After everything that happened in 2020, and not gonna drop the name, but it did put things into perspective, and it really made me take a look at my current situation and push me to make a change. So yeah, helping people, and as long as we're still going in the next 3 to 5 years, I'll be a happy man.
Awesome. Yeah, and fair play to you. I've been driving this from the beginning, from when we first started this about a year ago. No, not quite. Feels like it.
But the original idea actually came about 2 years ago. Robbie spoke to me about some course, just a course, and it's like, yeah, sounds good, but we never had a plan for it. But now it makes more sense that we've got Vaughan and Josh with us as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great point, because I completely forgot about that. I met you for. Did we meet for a meal, or did I randomly bump into you or something? I can't remember.
I was running down Cardiff Bay with Nia, and we ran past you. And this goes back to some of Robbie's random stuff. He was filming a music video for one of his mates. DJ. I was like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "There's like dancers around him and stuff." And DJ was I was like, "I haven't seen him for a couple of years." And then we texted, and we were texting back and forth about the Wealth Creators Club that I was doing before. Yeah, I didn't really know what to do with it. And you mentioned, well, we work in cybersecurity. Have you ever thought about a course of doing that? And I put a couple of posts up about cybersecurity, which wasn't in the niche of what that page was about. And people really liked it. And then we had a conversation about the course, and now here we are.
I think I'm gonna have to reel us in a little bit there, because this is a whole nother podcast if we go the empirical training origin story. Podcast, I know. Yeah, last podcast we settled on a really nice slogan for what we've been discussing. I've written down a couple that I've heard us come up with, but has anything stand out from a kind of little slogan of what we've talked about today?
No stupid questions.
No, that was last week.
Yeah, that's the random one. We can end on this one, because it's kind of
cyber keepie uppies. I like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, get your keepie uppies in.
Get those cyber keepie uppies in, and I've got a tattoo on my foot that says "No sacrifice, no victory," and it's so cheesy. It's so cliche. I got it when I was like 17 years old, but now it's coming back around and being more effective than ever. So yeah, no sacrifice.
And it looks really nice next to his "Live, Laugh, Love" one on the other foot.
Embrace the moment.
But thank you very much for taking the time to listen to us today. I think that cyber keepie ups, or whatever you're doing in life, keepie ups are important, right? You got to keep that ball up in the air any which way and keep driving at it, and you're gonna smash through whatever you're trying to get to. And if it's cybersecurity, stick along for the ride. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all of the podcast locations. You might be listening to this now on Spotify or Apple Music, and really get in that Discord server, right? Because we are here to open doors for you into a cybersecurity career, because we found it's the best decision we made for our careers, and we want to share that experience so that you can also follow in the footsteps of the great Robbie.
The link to the Discord will be in the description of wherever you're listening to this.
Yeah,
we'll get it to you. You're tech. If you can't work out how to get the link, you're probably not techy enough for cyber. But hey, keep trying.
Follow us on YouTube, please.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Nice one. Thank you, gents.
Cheers, boys.